get it, man. Give it to it, get it, man.
Coming to you from Forager Brewery in Rochester, our town.
Give it to it, get it, man. Candy days, candy ways, got me feeling like I'm working down a county jail. All right.
And hey, welcome to Our Town, the show about Rochester. I'm Eric Olson. Okay, cemeteries, neighborhood celebrations, and public schools. What do they all have in common? Stay with me on that one. We're going to talk about all of those topics today on Our Town. But first, Megan Johnston, Executive Director of the Rochester Art Center, is here to talk about getting better with age. Big birthday coming up.
That's right.
Happy
70.
birthday.
Thank you.
And
70th
welcome.
anniversary.
Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
The big 7-0. And right now you got traffic issues and all that stuff, and you're still smiling.
We're still smiling, yeah. After 70 years, we've had more than 1 million served, and we're really excited to celebrate with our community this coming Saturday.
For older folks, we were talking, you might remember at McDonald's, you know, the sign that said more than 1 million served or whatever. Are you going to put a big honking neon light and flash it on and off with that number?
We might. You'll have to come down and check it out on June 4th. We're celebrating.
I make light of it, but it is quite an accomplishment for any entity, much less an arts entity, to survive that long.
Yeah.
Why do you think it has?
Well, I think that it's because of the community. The community has really wanted a contemporary art center that engages with the community, and we've had 46 years of Total Arts Day Camp, which is the longest running arts camp for kids in Minnesota.
Really?
Yeah.
And you're kind of centering big events all around the birthday, or what we've designated as the birthday, June 4th.
Yes. We've been around for 70 years, and we have a whole series of year-long events. It's really being launched on June 4th with our big community art birthday party. We're co-hosting that with the Rochester Arts and Cultural Collaborative to launch a whole day full of activities for people.
For people to look at art or to make it, or what?
All of that. They can look at the new exhibitions that are opening, they can make their own artwork, they can bike to the Art Center as part of Art for Trails. There are new art works that are being opened and launched on that day, public artworks. We have music, we have hands-on activities, so you can come and really do whatever you want. Stay 5 minutes, stay 5 hours. We'd love to have you.
And that's during the day on the 4th.
Right.
And then that evening, it gets special with
Even
a whole
more
different,
excited.
kind of go in a whole different direction.
Well, the whole day is really about a community arts festival. How do we create as we develop in Rochester, with all the new changes that are happening with DMC, what does a creative community look like? And so we are open to the public, free of charge, to come anytime. And on that day, we're celebrating with our community. At night, we're having a special event to open up the Judiana Frio exhibition. It's a major retrospective of one of the most loved artists in Rochester.
Well, I was going to say, do we need to introduce her? I mean, is there anybody in Rochester that doesn't know about her?
Well, they might.
They might. I mean, she's a very well-known artist and has a great backyard.
Yeah, she's been here for 46 years. She and her husband Burton Onofrio have been stalwarts in the arts community. They've supported theater and visual arts, and particularly developing creativity in young people. So Judy actually started the Total Arts Day Camp 46 years ago. And with that, she claims that she has more of Total Arts Day Camp graduates in grad school with their MFA than even MCAD. No, we can't prove that, but we like that statistic. We're bringing more creative people into the world than even an art school in Minneapolis.
And you get around the community as far as your mission goes. Mm-hmm. It's not just the 4 walls where people see your organization.
Yeah, we're really making quite a demonstrative turn towards the community. So we've been out at Slatterly Park for Art on the Ave. We're going to be at Rochester Fest. We've been at different organizations talking about what we're doing, and we're really looking to collaborate more with artists and organizations that want to create a creative city. We find that doing more together, we can accomplish a lot. We can accomplish a lot more than if we were alone. With
funding and conservative tides and cutting budgets and everything, is your story when you make it to local government or state? I mean, some of the great bit of funding, is that more difficult, or do you change the message a little bit than in past?
I think what we're really doing is sending one message. We're open. We're open to collaboration. We're opening the doors. We're opening to more people. And actually, funders love that. The city has always been a really strong supporter of the arts, and in particular the Art Center. And they continue to do that, and we're really grateful for that. But we've found that we're actually gaining more membership, we're finding more sponsorship, we're finding more people that are open to this collaborative way of working. So for example, the Arts and Cultural Collaborative came to us and said, we're going to be launching these sculptures on June 5th. And I said, hey, why don't you come on June 4th and we'll do it together. So funders like when we're working together, and I think that's where we're moving towards.
Okay, so you would get funding by way of working with other groups. Is that like
Right.
school districts too, bringing young people in? Or-
Actually, I know you're going to be talking to Munoz later. We've actually pitched to him, and he's very excited. The Art Center has pitched an idea that we would actually get every child, K through 12, into an art event every single year. And this is important because we're going to need to be developing 21st century skills, which are communication, creativity, critical thinking. These are the skills that the arts can actually use.
Hey, no fair lobbying him. He's not
I
here
know.
yet on the program. He can't do it. But
He's already said he's excited.
okay, we'll try to negotiate and get in there for you.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
and importantly, that example is really important because we want people to go to an art, not just the Art Center, but the Civic Theater. We want them to see dance, and we want them to be to listen to music in the symphony.
facets.
So we're in this together. The arts needs to come together.
Megan Johnston, happy birthday. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks.
Our Town is brought to you in part by the following amazing people and organizations.
Clements Subaru proudly partners with award-winning KSMQ Public Television. Clements Subaru of Rochester. Clements' clear value promise is to make buying a car fast, fair, and simple. The University of Minnesota Rochester, an undergraduate health sciences university offering education designed to change tomorrow's healthcare. University of Minnesota Rochester, always in the heart of our community.
The Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, and the citizens of Minnesota.
And the members of KSMQ Public Television. Thank you.
Stick around, we've got more great information coming up. Jennifer Rogers explores the Minnesota Children's Museum of Rochester. We finally find out why Rochester was not a great place to die in 1860. And Rochester Superintendent Michael Munoz tells us about how the district is addressing the diversity in discipline issue. Up next, Our Town Culture drops in on the Slatterly Park neighborhood for a little art on the Ave.
My wife and I, Nicole, are the hosts this year of Art on the Ave. So Art on the Ave is a neighborhood initiative to bring art into the downtown districts. Slatterly Park neighborhood is putting it on every year on a different block. The Art on the Ave started in 2009. It was for 2 years. It was the Bloom Days, and then it transformed more into the art showcasing. Art on the Ave has a lot of different entertainment options for the day. There's live music going on throughout the day. We have a main stage in the center, or string orchestra on the end, and on the other side, there's some dancers that are going on all day, every hour. And throughout, there's over 40 vendors with all sorts of different crafts and food vendors as well. So I've been to Art on the Ave for 3 years now. Last year, my wife and I decided to put our name in the hat for being a possible host. And when we were selected for the host, we also joined in on the committee, regardless of if we became the host or not. And we've been working with them for the last 6-7 months, getting it all to work out. So every year, Art on the Ave, we send out a request for proposal for an installation piece that's going to be going on in, and it's permanently fixed into the boulevard here. This year we had a handful of applicants as well. The committee goes through to decide who is going to be which sculpture is going to be chosen. So the sculpture here is it's by Sheila Novak from up in the Twin Cities. It's called Colgata, which is an Argentinian tango. So the theme this year was dance. So we're here with my friends Ryan and Jody Frisk. Just wondering why you guys came on out here.
Because it's a gorgeous day, and this is just an awesome new thing that we've never actually gone to, and we love art.
So did you guys see the new sculpture too?
Yes, yeah, it's awesome. We saw belly dancers and everything.
This year, the Art on the Ave committee worked in collaboration with the Rochester Art Center and Forager Brewing to come up with some what we're calling pop-up art. So today we have a live painting going on here by Tom Armstrong. He's coming up with the art here so people can see the actual art being made. In addition to the pop-up art that's being put on today, there's also something for people to get involved in. The Before I Die doors were inspired by a lady named Candy Chang, and it's an idea that you can put down things that you want to do while you're still around. So part of the Art on the Ave committee this year, all the members did a installation piece of a bike. We got old bikes, refurbished them into art. This was my wife and I, Nicole. We did this bike here as kind of a steampunk-inspired bike, and we put it on out in front of the library and the People's Food Co-op, other places around town to try to get people noticing the Art on the Ave to get them down here today. People are really excited to see what's going on in the Slatterly Park neighborhood and downtown Rochester, bringing the neighborhood together and people from outside of the neighborhood coming on into an area where most of the time you wouldn't venture into other than if you lived here. So it's really nice to bring it all together.
For more information about this story and other Our Town features, connect with us on Facebook, Twitter at KSMQ #OurTown, or ksmq.org/OurTown.
Okay, well, it's a rainy weekend forecast here in Rochester. The stormy weather reminds us a bit of the recent end to the legislative session. While there were some bills completed, the tax bill was a big one, there were several key pieces of legislation that did not cross the finish line. No transportation bill, no bonding bill. Projects on the wish list for Rochester that will have to wait include $5 million for the Rochester International Airport, $85 million for Highway 14, and $1.5 million for the Olmsted County Dyslexia Institute of Minnesota facility. Looks like we'll hear from the governor soon about the status of a special session. He's been talking about that. In other transportation news, Olmsted County and the City of Rochester presented a traffic study focusing on West Circle Drive from Highway 14 south to Country Club Road. Concerns about pedestrian crossing and bicycle safety were raised at the open house held this week. Several solutions were presented. However, funding at this time is undetermined. You can contact your local city council person or county commissioner with your thoughts if you travel this route. They want to hear from you. Memorial Day weekend, of course, is here, a great time to remember and honor those who served in the armed forces. But did you know this was originally called Decoration Day? Following the Civil War, a veterans group began the tradition of decorating graves with flowers. American Legion Post 92 will be posting colors during ceremonies at all 4 cemeteries in town, as well as a special honor guard presentation on Center Street Bridge at noon on Monday. And next Thursday, June 1st, is the start of Thursdays on 1st and 3rd. The Downtown Summer Market and Music Festival is a Rochester favorite. It's really caught on. Look forward to seeing you there. Coming up next, Jennifer Rogers explores the Minnesota Children's Museum of Rochester.
Children's Museum with Christina. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Awesome. I'm doing fine. Okay, so you know what? This looks fun. It looks very active here. The kids are free roaming around. So tell me about your museum.
Yeah, so this is the Minnesota Children's Museum of Rochester, and we are a branch of the Children's Museum in St. Paul, and we have been open here in this location for just over 4 years. So yeah, it's a fun place to be. It's a rainy day today, so it's very busy in here with all the kids and families playing together.
Okay, and so I hear you guys do kid yoga here.
We do, yeah, that's a new program that we started. There's a doctor here in town who is a certified children's yoga instructor, and so that's a program that we will be doing the last Saturday of every month at 4. So bring your own yoga mat, and it's a really fun experience just to get kids' bodies moving and their minds healthy.
Okay, so the age groups here, looks like we have little ones and maybe like 4 or 5-ish age.
Yeah, so the exhibits typically range birth to about 8 or 9, depending on the exhibit. Today, since it's a school day, you see some younger kids here as well. On the weekends, we tend to see more of the school-aged kids. So, but really, all ages are welcome, all ages, all abilities. It's a great place to come and learn.
You gotta have your hands full here.
Oh yes, it's a lot of fun.
Like it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know what? Thank you so much, Christina.
Yes, thank you so much for coming. It was so nice to have you guys come visit us. This is great.
All the time. I would love to come back actually with my daughter.
Come back and play.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, well, you know what, guys? Thank you for tuning in. I am Jennifer Rogers, your host with Our Town Walkabout.
Yeah, thanks so much. This week we're hanging out at Forager with Rochester Public Schools Superintendent Michael Munoz.
Yeah, stay with us to hear Michael answer our big question, discipline in our schools and what's changing. More in a moment.
Our past, remembering what made us who we are today. Brought to you by the History Center of Olmsted County.
More than once, Rochester has been recognized as a great place to live, but for a time, it wasn't a great place to die. A Rochester City Post article dated December 1st, 1860, claimed, "Rochester may be a pleasant place to live, but God keep far from us the day when we die and be buried here." The article continued with a call to select a prominent place to bury the dead of Rochester. Accordingly, the Rochester Cemetery Association formed 2 years later. Association trustees acquired, surveyed, and platted land in 1863, offering 157 lots for sale. Thus began Oakwood Cemetery. It has since become the resting place for some 19,000 of Rochester's former residents. Memorials include a receiving vault built into the hillside at Oakwood's entrance in 1890, the Gothic-styled Healy Memorial Chapel built in 1912, and Memorial Gateway built in 1929. More than 2,000 veterans are buried in Oakwood, some dating back to the Civil War. For more than 150 years now, Oakwood Cemetery has served Rochester well.
I can't keep holding on. That's by my side.
Last fall, the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights released a report summarizing its findings regarding discipline of black students compared with white students in the Rochester Public Schools. Here to help us decipher this report, Superintendent Michael Munoz. Really a pleasure to have you here.
Glad to be here.
Sir. This report, this research has been going on even before you arrived on the scene here in Rochester.
Yes, actually, in 2010, the superintendent prior to me received a letter from the Office of Civil Rights saying that they were going to do a compliance check, and then for every year that I've been here, we've been submitting information to the Office of Civil Rights.
What have you learned about the changing role of discipline in schools?
Well, I wouldn't say what they found. There's something the district has been aware of, but that we were suspending and disciplining our students of color at a higher proportion than we were our white students.
So what did they make suggestions then for how to remedy that, or do you just get a report and have to go forward on your own?
Well, it was just kind of a mutual agreement. We met with them and they looked at a lot of things that we were doing. If you had an opportunity to look at the report, a lot of things that are in there, for example, the PBIS is something the district's been doing for several years, and they liked that we were doing that, and they said keep doing that, but they did have some suggestions on things that we should look at.
Help us with that acronym, PBIS.
Right.
It's Positive Behavior Interventions Support, and what it is, it's kind of twofold. the beginning of the school year, teachers take time and teach behavior expectations to all of our students. You know, how we want you to behave in the hallway, how we want you to behave in the lunchroom, and how you should behave in if you're at a concert or an assembly. And then there's training that the teachers receive on interventions and strategies that they can use in the classroom to maybe try to reduce some of the behavior that's occurring in their classrooms.
So are these standardized across schools and classrooms, had they been, or is it really on a case-by-case basis, and maybe this is where some of the problems have been?
Yeah, I think it's, the PBIS is pretty right standardized. I mean, some schools are further along than others,
Right.
and but as far as discipline, one of the things that we've tried to work on every year is trying to be a little more consistent from one building to the next. And for example, you know, one behavior in one building might be coded as a classroom disruption, and another, the same behavior in another building may call it insubordination. So we've been trying to each year to try to make them a little more consistent.
What about teacher safety? You talk to faculty all the time. Are they more concerned that than they have been in the past?
You know, that's something I know that's been in the media a lot up in the cities, and that's not a big issue that we have here in our district. We do have some students that at times create a challenge for us, but I think it's not to the extent that we're seeing up in the cities.
Yeah, it's almost a statewide initiative that they're talking about regions and how to fight this problem, but you're not seeing that in Rochester. There are incidents, certainly.
Yeah, we have a few incidents, and I think the sites are really good at developing plans to how to address those particular situations.
So can you tell us about the demographics of our district?
Yeah, we are about 36% students of color, and our largest, I think about 14% are black students, followed by, I think, 12% Asian students, and then Hispanics would be our third largest minority group, followed by American Indian students.
And you're saying that the report found that if the same infraction happens, the penalty meted out is different, or can't talk about that.
Yeah, it's more that when you just look at the total number of office referrals and students that were suspended, our black students, Hispanic students were being suspended and sent to the office at a higher rate based on the percentage of the population than our white students.
Okay, so it's not comparing infractions.
No, I think if they would have found that, our report would have looked much different. They would have found us to be doing something wrong, and that was not the case. It was just what they found is that our black students, Hispanic students, when you look at the percentage of the population they make in the students, they're being sent more often than our white students based on their percentage of the overall student population.
So what do you do with that information?
Right.
Well, we've done a lot of things. We've had a couple community engagement sessions where we've invited the parents and community to come in and have conversation, and we've since then have organized what we call a community focus group, and a majority of those are members of our community, and they're looking at all of the information from these sessions and looking at our data, and eventually they will come back to the board and make some suggestions for us. A few other things, we recently added what we call minority specialists, and they are three of those to work with families and help them resolve any issues that they have. And then we also hired what I call an equity coordinator, and that person happens to be African American, and if a parent feels that their child was disciplined unfairly, they can contact this person and he will help them work through that process and look into that for them. And then he also meets monthly with building principals, goes over their discipline and data and analyze it and have conversations about suggestions on how they can improve some of those in those areas. We've done a lot of professional development with all of our staff. Just May 9th, we didn't have classes. I'm sure our students were very happy about that. And we brought in two pretty well-known consultants in the world of equity, and we had training on that Monday for all of our staff, teachers, paras, custodians, the entire staff, followed by 2 days with these two individuals. Each team sent a team from their building, and they had 2 additional days of training with the equity work.
Well, I know this is so important, and especially for, Jen here has youngsters in the
Right.
public school district, so it's always a source of discussion.
Right, and I will tell you, they were thrilled.
Yeah, I'm sure
with
they
your
were.
development
Yeah,
day
they
and
usually are. Yes.
having the day off. So I'm curious about what you've had these community discussions. What kind of feedback are you getting from parents?
Well, what that group has done is kind of broken down into 3 subgroups, and one of them has to do with staff. And what they were hearing is the staff aware of the situation that we're dealing with now? And what we've done is we've gone to each of the building and given a report on the findings of the OCR and seek their input for suggestions. So that's one thing we've done. The other is, does our teaching population represent our student population? And that's something that we had been working on prior to the OCR report coming out, and we have a partnership with Winona State University, and if you look at our paraprofessionals, they do represent our student population. So we started this partnership with Winona State, and they started last summer, so we call it para to teaching, and our paras are going through on a fast track, become teachers, and our hope is at the end of next year they'll have their teaching license and then we can hire them. So our teachers may be a little more reflective of our diversity of our student population.
That's great. It benefits everyone.
Yeah, enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's it for today. Join us next week when we talk with Brent Ackerman from Rochester Fest and get a little taste of jazz in town with John Sievers.
It's going to be fun. Thanks for joining us. See you next time on Our Town, the show about Rochester.
You can access more information about KSMQ on Facebook and at ksmq.org.